Hey guys, and welcome back to the Spruce and Linen channel. I'm Janelle, and today we're talking about something a little bit different. We're gonna do some block printing with potatoes. A little while back, I took a shelf out of our living room and I knew I needed to replace it with something because it's just like this big blank wall now. And I really wanted to do something in frames. I couldn't decide what I should print to put in there. I didn't really want to pay for prints when I didn't have like a solid plan of what I was doing. And then I was like, you know what? Why don't I make something? And I'm gonna make something out of stuff that we already have. So I'm gonna show you the first one I did just so you can get a sense of what we're doing today. But we're gonna do a different design. So I've already got this in the frame. I'll try to tilt it so the light doesn't glare too much. So this is the one I made earlier today. This was the potato I cut to do it, and I absolutely love the way this turned out, so that I thought, you know, you guys might want to know too. So let's get started. Okay, so for that print that I just showed you, here is the potato that I cut. I'll show the top down camera here. I basically just cut some random slots out of it to make sort of a straight pattern, and the best part about these kinds of projects is like the less perfect it looks, almost the better. Like, that's kind of supposed to not look perfect. So I'll just let you know the kind of materials I am using and then we'll just get started. So I just have this very basic natural cotton. It's like muslin, I think it is. Very, very cheap from the fabric store. This is something I already had. I washed it so that it has less of a stiffness to it. And then I just cut it to shape to fit within the mat of the frames that I got. And those are IKEA Riba frames. I will link them in the description below. And then other things that you're gonna need: some painter's tape, a container for your paint. I have just this cheap dollar store paintbrush, a sponge, again, just from the dollar store. And the paints I'm gonna be using are these DecorArt Americana acrylic paints. They're just craft paints that I got from Michael's. The navy blue is called Deep Midnight Blue, and then the other one is called Black Tie. So one is the multi-surface satin, but it's just black and blue. I just mixed it so it was a little bit darker. And then of course you're gonna need a potato. So I had these potatoes and they were kind of like past their prime. So I was like, what better time to use them for block printing? And I cut this one in sort of this semicircle design, so I'm just gonna go all the way across with that. And that's what I did with the stripe one as well. And then I just have some parchment paper so that when you get onto the edges, you can stamp onto the paper and not onto your table. And underneath my fabric, I have poster board, just in case any of the paint goes through the fabric. It didn't last time, but I wanna protect this table, so I'm gonna do it carefully. All right, so I ironed this really well, and all I'm gonna do to start, and you can totally do this on paper too, or you could do it on, I don't know, maybe you have an old top sheet that you're not using, or a curtain. There's lots of different random pieces of fabric you could probably find to do this on. And normally, if this wasn't just going in a frame, you would want to mix your paints with like a textile medium if you're planning on washing it. But since this is just going in a frame, I'm just using straight craft paint. So I'm just trying to line up my tape fairly straight. And I'm actually gonna just tape my fabric down to the table just so that it doesn't go anywhere on me. And then I'm gonna do the same on the other end, which you might not be able to quite see in the shot, but again, just taping it down so that it doesn't wanna shift and move and lift as you're printing. I don't know about you guys, but I love a really simple DIY project that improves your house. Love it. So all I'm gonna do is put a bunch of the navy paint and then a bit of the black, because again, I was just kind of trying to do my own kind of custom color. And then I'm gonna take my paintbrush and just mix it all together. And even your mixing doesn't have to be perfect. It can make for a good effect. The other thing I didn't mention that I also have here is a scrap piece of my fabric so that I can do a quick little test print if you're nervous to go on your main fabric. And then this is where the sponge comes in, and it's super handy because this is gonna act as our, essentially a stamp pad. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my paint and I'm going to brush it right on to the sponge. Not caking it on too much because you don't want to just like gloop it on there, because if I just dipped the potato into the container, it's gonna get all gloopy onto the potato, and I want it as even as I can get it with a potato. I mean, it's still a potato. All right, so I'm gonna just take my potato. I'm gonna do a test print first, and you just press it down onto your sponge a few times. My fingers are probably gonna get super messy on this one. And then you just press down and lift it up, and there's kind of the effect I'm going to get onto my fabric. All right, so now I'm ready to get started on my main fabric. And I think for this first row, I kind of want to start in the center and move out just for the first row so that the rows aren't wonky. Is that what I want to do? Let's try it. So I'm going to start in the center-ish. And you know what? If you're doing a half circle like me, flip it around, because then you're going to line up the straight edge against the straight edge instead of the curve against the straight edge. So and I'm gonna do two stamps kind of with each dip, because I like the uneven look. I don't want this to look perfect. I think it actually looks a lot cooler when it's not perfect. All right, already loving this. So basically, you're just gonna keep doing that over the whole piece of fabric, and hopefully by the time you get over to the other end, the rest of it's gonna be a lot drier, so it won't be a big deal to kind of be leaning over it. Okay, so I'm all finished stamping the fabric, so I'm gonna wash up my hands and let this dry for a few minutes, and then we'll put it in the frame. Oh, that needs a few more minutes. Dun, dun, dun. So we wait. Okay, so once you've given your cloth some time to dry, we're gonna untape it from this table. And as you can see in that process, I didn't necessarily go one row, one row, one row, because I really wanted to spread out the dark areas. I didn't want them to all kind of end up going like this or something, but you can do it however you want. So I'm actually gonna save this tape. Now, you're gonna want to cut off any excess little threads just so they don't get in your way. All right, so I'm gonna set this aside and grab my frame. before I even take off the film because this is a plastic front frame, IKEA switched from glass to plastic, which I'm not a huge fan of. It does make the frame lighter, but I like glass better. You're gonna leave that on for now. And you're gonna put your fabric down on there. I'm gonna just turn this. And what I'm gonna do is just kind of try to line up both the pattern and the edge of it evenly on the frame. And again, I don't know, you guys, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm not trying to get it perfect. I'm trying to get it straight-ish as best I can without full-on measuring everything, because the pattern isn't perfect, so it doesn't need to be perfectly placed on the frame either. Now I think I have a pretty even amount on each end. Now I'm just kind of trying to see where the top of the pattern comes to, and that's looking pretty good. And then I'm gonna take some painter's tape and just start taping this down. Now you don't want to stretch it out too much, but I am trying to get it just straight. I'm also trying to make sure that the tape doesn't go beyond where the mat is, because that might show through. And then you're just gonna tape all the other sides. All right, you guys, the moment of truth. Oh, I love it. You can see that my rows weren't perfect, like it kind of goes off on this side, but honestly, I don't really think it matters. I personally love block printing when it's not perfectly perfect. It doesn't need to be. So I will hold this up for you so you can see it from the full angle. I love it! So we'll definitely post a picture of these on the wall in our living room together, because I think they're gonna look awesome together. All right, you guys, so let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this project, and for sure make sure you tag me if you try it out yourself. If you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell to get notifications when I post new videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey guys, I did this again, and when I do this, it looks like my fingers, there's too many of them. Way too many of them. Oh gosh. It's off to a bad start when we have a dead battery in the camera to begin with. Okay, I'm gonna start from the top. Did I get blue on here? I did. That's what this is for. Yep. Nothing like watching paint dry. Oh gosh. What done? I don't know what that was. I was trying to like dance my hands for the top down. That's weird. That's a wrap.